Hi everybody, so I thought I would jump on today as I felt inspired to share a part of my story really where it is something that I describe as a significant shift in my life, and this term has been used periodically as well from people and just podcasts and things that I've researched, and it's the saying quantum leap. Now, at first I didn't even understand what that word meant, but now I do because of my own experiences. So first of all, I'll introduce myself. I'm Syra, I'm a doula, healer, tarot reader, and I'm also somebody who is very dedicated to their spiritual practice, their raising their consciousness, and really having a mind, body, soul, holistic approach to life, basically. And yeah, so I thought I would basically just share this part of my story because it was quite profound for me, and I've done some other research recently, and the other parts of the puzzle kind of come together, and what I experienced is basically what Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about from more of a scientific perspective. So I'll basically just share that when I was going through this transformation from like 2020 up until now, and really the catalyst for me really raising my consciousness and becoming very self-aware of my behaviours, my actions. I basically did a huge 180 change in my life from, I would say the party girl who loved to drink, didn't take care of myself, to always going out, always having distractions and never present, basically very unconscious. And that is definitely 180 now, because I don't do any of those things, and I'm living my best life for sure, because it's led me on to, me stepping into my purpose work and doing, service to others, basically. And basically, as I was transitioning from the fasting and then transitioning to raw, I was still drinking, not excessively, because it just doesn't work hand in hand. And I was somebody that, did suffer with a bit of social anxiety, and I would have a drink to obviously numb that part as well. I mean, now I don't suffer with any of that, but that drink helped with that. But I didn't know the drink was a catalyst for the social anxiety. So it's wonderful how it all works, really, isn't it? And so, drink was how it got me through any events, parties, all these things. I was known as the one who would get quite, paralytic, really, in a sense, because I was numbing how uncomfortable I was feeling. And so over a period of time, I was starting to notice that my drinking became less and less and less, and I was having longer gaps with the alcohol, because I was starting to realise, alcohol is poison and all of these things, and how when you drink alcohol, it literally opens up your field, and it's susceptible to bringing in obviously negative energies that you really don't want. So, and I started to witness within myself, there was moments where I knew that there was other energies kind of influencing me when I was under the influence of alcohol, because that's how it works, basically. And the word spirit is, there's a reason why alcohol and spirit is that word, basically, because you're connecting to, spirits, negative spirits, and you're opening yourself up to that. But anyway, so I was going through this transition where I knew alcohol wasn't doing me any good, but I was in this battle, and it's the norm, and socialising with friends, and it was quite challenging. And then so I was I was raw, and then I would have a glass of wine, and then I'd be doing great for a week, and then I'd come out an outbreak. I would feel rotten, I wouldn't sleep great. Then my self-sabotaging thoughts would come front and centre, very, very loud. Judgment, why did you do that? All these kind of things. You're not, drinking's no good, but really bad, sabotaging thoughts would come in, and my food choices would go down the pan basically, because it's just how it works, isn't it? You know, when you're hungover, you don't really want to eat healthy. You crave the stodge, you really do, like the junk food. And so that kind of cycle was going on for a little while, and then I'd go 3 weeks and then I'd have a drink, and it'd be like, but I'd just know. But it was hard at first, and then I went like about another 3 weeks in February 2021, and I was having friends over, and I'd done like a raw vegan spread, and they brought a bottle of red wine, and I was just like, oh God, they brought red wine, and like in my head I was like, oh my God, they've got the wine, I've got to drink it because they've got the wine, you know, and that we all do. And then for like an hour I was just playing table tennis in my head. It was all an internal dialogue. Obviously nobody knew what was going on inside of me, like the battle of, do I have this glass of wine, do I not? And I poured myself a glass of wine, and that glass of wine was sat there for an hour while I was contemplating whether to do it and flip-flopping between these choices that I had. And it was like, it was torture, I'm not gonna lie, like the going back and forth was just not nice. And then I remember sitting down at the table, and I put my glass of wine down, and just then I went to my friend and went, you can have that wine. It's like, you don't want it? I went, no. And literally in that moment that I gave the wine and I said, no, I don't want it, I shifted, aka I had a quantum leap into a new version of myself. Like, it wasn't like, I mean, the reason why I know this, right, is because in that moment I knew I would never drink again. And it was like that, and as the days passed, it was like I was like this new version that didn't miss it. It was like I'd never drank. It was really surreal actually, because everybody's like, would you not miss it? I'm like, no, like, you're not even gonna have one. It's like, well, what's the point of having one? Like, I just don't miss it. It doesn't even come into my consciousness. Like, you know, sometimes you can think, oh yeah, I sort of miss that. Like when you're obviously, you know, going through the transition of letting something go. But it was literally that I'd shifted into this newer version of myself. And this is what Joe Dispenza talks about, because when you're in heart mind coherence, and you're in that alignment that he teaches the tools to do that is when you can literally shift into a different person, because you can heal yourself as well in those states. Because he's got testimonials and evidence of people having cancer or having real chronic diseases, or even somebody going blind, one of the examples he shared. And literally they did these techniques where he was in heart-brain coherence, and they shifted into a new version of themselves. And it was all in alignment to do that with the heart and the mind. And you can see the cells change, the molecular structure of the body from the old version of you is shifted into the new version, like everything's new. And this is what I experienced. Like, it felt like I had pulled back this band-aid and then surrendered, and just it punged and then catapulted me forward. And the relief that I felt, it was like, oh, because in that moment, that ping pong, those self-sabotaging thoughts, me going back and forth in the mind, are gone. It was like I liberated myself from the mind. And it was such a relief. It was like a breath of fresh air. It was just like, oh my God, it was like I truly let go and surrendered, and I was able to then embrace a new version of myself that literally didn't drink. This version that I brought into this reality in that moment just didn't drink. It was a version of me that didn't drink, and I just don't even think about it. It doesn't even come into my mind compared to the person I was. And even friends were like, oh my God, you don't drink anymore. It's like, what about summer, or what about Bertie? I was like, it doesn't even, and they're like, oh, can I? Even friends at first were like, do you mind if I drink? It's like, you do you. It does not faze me. And at first people were like, couldn't understand, because of the person they knew I was. He really loved to drink. I loved my red wine, and I liked spirits as well, to being someone who just didn't drink. And it wasn't like, and obviously there was a build up to that, and obviously I've been working I've been seeing myself and how I wanted to be as a person, and obviously I knew that the drink was holding me back. I knew that, so there was a build up, but it was like, and I was in the battle between my mind, but I'd fully surrendered. I'd literally in that moment fully surrendered to it, and since then, it actually was the best decision I ever made. Like, 100%, because you also realise how much everything is revolved around drink, and you can have a quantum leap into anything. If you're in this flip-flopping and you know within your mind, just apply the application of truth to yourself, you will catapult yourself into that version of you. And it could be whatever that may be in your life, but you're toying with certain things and you're just, you're finding it hard to just really surrender. Like, you will be rewarded when you do. Like, you literally get catapulted forward, and it is honestly, like, I did not think I would ever give up alcohol, because it was just part of life. It was just part of who I am. I mean, you know, there's the downside is that you might need to, the friends that you did have no longer resonate, because the foundation of things that were based on, it's, you know, but that's okay, you know, but it hands down, it was the best decision I ever made. And also, I'm fully aware of what alcohol does. I mean, also, why would I pay myself to poison myself? Why would I pay to poison myself, you know? So, and this is all backed up by science as well. So if you're in any turmoil within yourself about making a decision, even though you know in your heart it's right, take the leap of faith, surrender, just let go and do it, because I promise you, you will experience a quantum leap, whether it's smoking, whether it's drinking. In that moment when you make that shift and you've got to do it at a choice point, you're literally at a choice point, and when you surrender, that is where your life can change for the better. So I just really wanted to share that, and I hope it's helped. And yeah, if you want to check out any of my offerings, please go to myhighpriestess.co.uk, and please do like, subscribe and comment if this has inspired you to, you know, make the decisions to change your life for the better by surrendering, because ultimately you know within your heart what your soul needs, mind, body, soul. Especially if you're on the path of ascension and, you know, raising your consciousness as well. So, I hope this helps everybody, and have a blessed day.